This is the most brutal episode of Kitchen Nightmares ever.
No more raviolis and no more hamburgers and no more salmon burgers. People can only have cakes tonight. You don't work here anymore, okay? I wasn't doing anything.
Hello, you gorgeous donuts. Kitchen Nightmares is a TV show where celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay offers restaurants that are failing and are kind of going out of business his help for a week to try and revive their business. This show has went on for like 100+ episodes. However, the worst one of the lot is called Amy's Baking Company, and that's the one we're covering today. This was the restaurant that finally broke Gordon Ramsay. In this video, we're going to break down their episode of Kitchen Nightmares. We're also going to have a look at the follow-up episode that Kitchen Nightmares did. We're going to react to some unaired footage that Kitchen Nightmares released this year, and we're going to take a deep dive into how the restaurant's doing today and where the owners are. I am so excited for this video. Let's just get into it. So the episode starts off with us meeting both of the owners, Amy and Sammy, who opened Amy's Baking Company in 2006.
My husband and wife team, Sammy and Amy Buzaglo.
It was at a very early age that I discovered I had a real, true passion and talent for anything having to do with the culinary arts.
That's like me answering like an answer in like an English literature exam. Why do I feel like she's just using words to kind of up the word count there? What do you mean the culinary arts? Putting a frozen pizza in the oven? I'm quite experienced in the culinary arts if you're asking.
So in 2006, Sammy invested over $1 million into this restaurant to make my dream come true.
Like the amount of love Sammy must have for Amy to put £1 million into a restaurant when like both of you have no experience of like owning a restaurant. That is absolutely wild. That is love, my friends.
2 years ago, these reviewers decided to make up lies and say that they ate the food and it was disgusting. And we lost a tremendous amount of business because of it.
Okay, so already you can tell, you know, this restaurant's, it's coming under a little bit of criticism and she's not taking it too well. She's basically saying that anybody that doesn't like her food is a hater, like she doesn't need to change. It's their issue. Also, I feel like, you know, a review from 1 or 2 bloggers isn't going to ruin your entire trade. Like, if your restaurant is ruined by 2 people putting a bad review, it hasn't really got legs in the first place. The waiting staff then give their verdict why they think the restaurant is failing, and this directly contrasts with what Sammy and Amy believe. And this is where we get like a first insight into why the restaurant is actually failing.
If someone has criticism, Sammy tells them, you don't know what the food is supposed to taste like.
What is wrong with it?
Sorry, like if I went into a restaurant and for some reason I felt like it was bad enough that I had to complain and the restaurant owner comes back with this, I'd be like, you know what, fair play, the audacity. My lord. What do you mean I don't know what a pizza's meant to taste like? It's a pizza! It's tomato and cheese! I'd say I'm quite experienced in this culinary art.
Is your first time? And last time, don't come back, madam.
Isn't one of the biggest things with like having a restaurant is having like repeat customers, people that like the place, and also like word of mouth, people telling other people to come. Nobody's going to tell anyone to come to this restaurant. Like it's always going to be a one-time thing because you realise how bad it is. Also, sometimes criticism isn't a bad thing. Like if someone's like, oh, I didn't quite like that dish, use it to improve it. That they're not trying to hate on you. Already, I genuinely don't think Gordon Ramsay is going to improve this restaurant by like even 1%. There's one part where one of the customers complains about the food, so Amy purposely makes his pizza extra spicy just out of spite.
I hope he eats it, and I just made it really spicy for him.
That'll teach him. Yeah, make his food as worse as possible. That's the way that we're gonna make this business successful. How can you think like this? Clearly, like straight away, you can tell these 2 owners like struggle with like an ego complex. Like they just can't be told they're wrong.
The customer is not always right.
Amy's nuts.
I am going to really hurt somebody if they send back my cake.
This is why I will never complain in a restaurant in case it's someone like Amy at the helm. If there's someone that even resembles Amy, I'm not complaining, no matter what happens. I actually agree that the customer isn't always right. Like, you get customers that are just knobheads, but that's like every so often. If you're in all of your stories, I think you're the issue.
Majority of the people in Arizona think that if you come to our restaurant, that we're gonna yell at you, scream at you, and throw you outside. And that is not who we are.
Sorry, if the majority of people in your city think that. I'm pretty sure that they've probably got a good gauge on that. You said the majority. There's no restaurants that are even in like a 100-mile radius of my house that I know if I go in there, they're going to scream at me because I'm just not going to go. To me, this must be a restaurant that like people from out of town go to when they just don't do any research and they just like drive past it and they're like, oh, should we go there? Oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? And then they go in and they just get absolutely screamed at. The show then cuts to a day before Gordon Ramsay is scheduled to arrive to kind of just document the nightly service of the restaurant to see how they kind of function. And this is where we find out that normally there's only one server working at a time and this person is called Miranda. However, she's not allowed to put any orders on the system. She's not allowed to handle any money and she's not allowed to like pour wine. Like, it's insane. She's a waitress, but she's not allowed to do anything that a waitress does. This is all controlled by Sammy, who is obviously one of the owners, and this is why you can tell he's just an absolute control freak. And I also feel like he really struggles with trust. For some reason, he doesn't trust anyone that works for him, which is just a recipe for disaster.
Miranda may be the only server on staff, but she is not allowed to input orders, pour wine, or handle money.
Like, do you know how much this slows down the process of just having this middleman for no reason? Like, if the waitress can just go up to the system and put it in, why does she need to pass it and tell someone like, it just makes no sense. Like, I get as an owner, you'd probably be worried about like money going missing, etc. But if everything's on the system and everything's cashed up, surely like it should be easy to tell if there's money missing, and then obviously there's only going to be a couple of culprits. And also, like, why are you gatekeeping pouring wine? As if that's some sort of talent. As if that's like something you've worked at and you're the best at doing it. This man is an absolute plum. We then learn that Amy only like handles one order at a time, like she only cooks one meal at a time, so all of the customers are waiting like hours for their food after they order. And obviously, like, if you go into a restaurant and you're waiting that long, you're probably going to mention it, so someone comes to the front desk to kind of mention how long he's been waiting for his food.
Coming now.
You keep saying that. You've been saying that for an hour.
He's like, where's my pizza? Send him home!
Why would that be your response? Surely you'd be like, look, we're really busy at the minute. I'm so sorry you've been waiting this long. Can I give you like some bread or just something to kind of like sweeten up the customer so he doesn't have a terrible experience? Don't say send him home. That's the worst possible outcome. So he's just waiting for nothing.
You want to wait, you wait. You don't want to pay what you have and you fuck off from here. Do you understand?
Why would he pay? He's not received any food. So he's just paid for a long wait. That's the worst order you can order.
Yeah, I fucking fuck you. I fuck you, pay and go.
Genuinely, like, this guy wasn't aggressive at anything. He was just like, please, can you just tell us when my pizza's going to arrive? And he's just been told to fuck off. Shove your pizza where the sun doesn't shine, son. The fact they're acting like this on camera, it makes you wonder, like, what are they like on a daily basis when the cameras aren't there? Like, this is them putting on a front as good people. Like, how would you react if you were in a restaurant and this happened to you? I feel like I would just burst out laughing. I'd be like, oh, come on, this is a comedy skit, right? This is all real. You've done this for me birthday, haven't you? Right, here, look at him. Actor. He's great. Love it. After this, Amy then says that she's calling the police.
Don't call the police, you crazy?
He can suck it!
What are you going to say at the police? Oh, yeah, is this 911? Yeah, there's a man that's looking for a pizza. He's waiting for a pizza okay, bye. Like, what are you going to say? Imagine he gets locked up for that. What, you in for me? Oh, I was waiting over an hour for my pizza and then it just never arrived. And obviously, you know what that means? Straight in the slammer. Like, there's just no correlation. What crime has this man committed? Waiting?
I want the money from him.
I am calling the police. You guys are fucking
No,
crazy.
he's just calling the police.
The irony of saying that you're calling the police on a customer after pretending to headbutt him. I don't know how this one's gonna go down, but I feel like I'm on the customer's side. Like, these guys only came in for a margarita and he's like nearly getting headbutted. That's a terrible night. Imagine being in the restaurant like another customer. Like, while all of this is going on, I'd be like, actually, I think we're just gonna leave. Can we just have the bill?
You motherfuckers, you all think that you can come in here and say these things. Are you kidding me?
Amy, these people are like active customers right now. They're in your restaurant giving you money, and you've just called them all motherfuckers. It's not a great side dish, is it? Getting called a motherfucker. Not really my type of seasoning, if I'm honest, guys. Prefer paprika. To me, it seems like maybe Amy has always been built up her entire life in terms of like she might have never been criticised that much. Like she's always been told how great she is. So when she receives some criticism, it's like brand new to her and she instantly goes really defensive. I honestly can't wait to see what Gordon Ramsay is going to say to these two because I have never seen restaurant owners like this in the entirety of Kitchen Nightmares. Gordon then arrives at Amy's baking company and he sits down with both Amy and Sammy to learn a little bit about them and the restaurant.
Did you make them?
Yes, I did.
I mean, they're extraordinary.
Thank you. That's very nice. It means a lot coming from you.
To be fair, the cakes actually look really good. Like, they look really nice.
Okay.
Who's the head chef?
I am.
Holy crap, you got lucky.
I'm the lucky one.
No, he didn't. Gordon, you don't know anything. This man is not lucky. This man is evil and is also saying evil. No one is lucky in this relationship. They're both doomed.
There's a lot of online bullies and haters, and we stand up to them, and I think we're the only ones that ever have as restaurant owners. And they come and they try to attack us and say horrible things that are not true.
Love, we've just met. Just put the fries in the bag, love. Like, what's going on? Literally, this is within 5 minutes of their meeting. This would be such a major red flag for me. I'd be like, wait, why are you bringing up people that hate the restaurant and how they're lying? I didn't even know about any of this. What are you... Just, it's fine. It's almost like she's trying to get it off her chest straight away. And you can tell Sammy and her are like trying to appear as like the perfect couple. Like they're saying they're soulmates. However, the night before, they were literally screaming in each other's faces. If that's what soulmates are, I don't want it. I'm okay. Gordon then goes in the kitchen and he says it's one of the cleanest kitchens that he's ever seen. Like everything's labelled, everything looks like really neat. This kind of reminds me, you know, when in school your teacher would be like completely different when they were getting like reviewed by Ofsted. They would have like extension sheets that have a smile on their face, everything was in order, and then as soon as they leave they just turn evil again. They're like Professor Lupin when it's a full moon, just feral. Gordon then learns a little bit more about Sammy and Amy. They tell Gordon that apparently if both of them aren't working at the same time, then the restaurant's not open. So like one can't have a day off when the other one's working, because apparently they can't find anybody in the entirety of Arizona that can fill their shoes. Bearing in mind, we've only seen Sammy pour wine and put orders into a system. I think there's a few people in Arizona that are probably qualified for that role. Arizona has a population of 7 million people, for God's sake. Surely some of them know how to pour wine.
We can't find qualified people to work. They want to come and get a paycheck and not work.
How many people have you been through?
A few hundred.
A few hundred?
You've been through a few hundred people. By the way, the fact you even call them dirty and lazy, that automatically tells me that you look down on people. Like calling someone dirty, that's just horrific. I guarantee out of all of those 200 people, they weren't all dirty and lazy. This just reaffirms like how huge their egos must be if they don't believe anyone can do their job better than them, because this business is failing. So if no one can do a better job than you two, then how does anyone have a successful business? Gordon then asks them directly why they think the restaurant is failing.
Guy came in that started this entire online bullying.
The next day he went and gave us a review. My wife, she was...
Well, retaliated.
You wrote back to him?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well,
Why?
Okay. So many red flags. So you're telling me that a margarita pizza review has ruined your entire restaurant? How do you fuck up a margarita pizza? It's just cheese, tomato and bread. I was expecting it to be like some sort of like, you know, kind of exquisite pasta dish. Not the most simplest pizza there is. Also, if someone leaves a bad review, like that's fine, because like if you have a good restaurant, there should be loads of good reviews to kind of drown that out. Like you're always going to get some dickhead that's going to do a bad review. This shouldn't like take down your entire business.
I need them to listen to you and not the online bullies and take your word that you're saying that our food is good.
This woman just does not take anything on board. Like anytime anyone else is speaking, she's not listening, she's just thinking about what she wants to say. If someone writes a bad review, that's not bullying. It's like if someone leaves a bad comment on this video, that's not bullying. That's fine. That's someone's opinion. They're allowed to have an opinion. You don't need to like react to it. Just ignore it if you don't want it to affect you and just carry on with what you're doing.
There's something not quite right here.
Thank you.
Obviously Gordon's like, well, this cake's lovely, so surely like the bad review, like the food's got to be the same, right? Because like what you're saying, your food's great. Like from Gordon's point of view at this point, he's probably like, well, this doesn't really add up because what I'm eating's really nice. But I feel like making a cake, like baking, is a lot different to cooking. Another reason why I believe Amy could, be borderline insane is the way she talks about her cats.
You have children?
Well, we have 3 little boys, but they're trapped inside
Wow.
cat bodies. I speak feline. Meow, 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 meow.
Okay. That's fine. That's alright. I feel like we need to call the police now. I feel like one of the patients has escaped out of the asylum.
I'm gonna have a little sample of the menu.
Okay,
Do your thing normally.
I will.
I feel like their front that they're putting on of being the perfect couple and having the perfect restaurant, and they just don't know why like people are leaving bad reviews. That's going to fall so shortly. Gordon then progresses onto the stage where he tries the restaurant's food, but before he tries it, he actually finds out that Miranda, part of the waiting staff, receives 0% of the tips that the customers give.
How long have you been here?
A month and a half.
Good tips?
I don't make tips.
Serious? So where do the tips go?
That is absolutely horrific, especially like that's worse in America as well, where like tipping culture is like a lot heavier and like people that are employees actually rely on tips a lot more. That's horrific. That's basically stealing.
Wow. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Sammy's reason for taking all of the tips is insane.
You cannot take servers' tips.
I already took 3 orders by myself.
You're the owner.
Well then by that logic then they should at least get a percentage of the tables that they do, because if you're getting a tip for serving tables, surely they should as well. That makes no sense. Also, a tip like that motivates people to work harder. Like, if you're part of a waiting staff, you want to be nicer to people so then they have a better experience in general, so then they also, like, pay the service charge or a tip on top, and then it just makes the entire working experience better. Like, what motivation have they got to provide a good service for your restaurant if they're not getting rewarded for it? It makes 0 sense. Gordon then orders his food and it arrives.
The dough is raw.
Normally they love that pizza. It's really love.
What do you mean normally they love the pizza? This is apparently the reason why your entire business is failing, because someone left a review about the pizza. What is hilarious as well is Sammy is too scared to tell Amy that people don't like her food. Like, throughout the entirety of the start of this episode, people have been sending their food back and he's just not telling her.
Sammy sugarcoats a lot of what happens in the restaurant, so Amy gets this feeling that like everything she's doing is correct.
To be fair, right, just in defense of Amy, if like you're not finding out that nobody likes your food, then how can you improve? She's not getting like a full perspective. Like, if Sammy's actually honest with that and says, look, this like margarita pizza, it's getting sent back 70% of the time, should we just have a look at ways we can kind of improve it? Then she might be more open to change. So equally, Sammy is as responsible as Amy. It's not just Amy that's the devil. Gordon then has to wait over 75 minutes for his next dish because of course Amy only cooks 1 meal at a time.
I have a lot of nerve calling this a blue ribbon burger. Overcomplicated. So unnecessary.
Why is there like so much iceberg lettuce? That's bigger than the one that took down the Titanic.
That is one shit burger. Really disappointing.
Thank you.
This is for him?
Yes, right over.
Like, nobody's telling her. She's not receiving any of this criticism, so she just thinks it's perfect. So no wonder in her own head, she's like, oh yeah, my food's all great, like no one ever complains.
There you go.
God, that looks like I've been sick and then ate it back and then been sick again.
You want to know how long on the salmon burger? You don't need to keep reminding us, we know.
I feel like this woman wouldn't last a day in like a normal, well-functioning kitchen. Have you seen the way chefs interact with like waiting staff and themselves? They're constantly shouting at each other. They're constantly asking for updates. Miranda asked for one update and she took her head off.
This is what I've been waiting for. It's not good. Although it may be good for the cats at home.
Do not feed that to the cats. They will not be waking up in the morning. That's gotta be a crime if you feed that to your cat. Gordon then tells both Sammy and Amy that he's really disappointed with the food and he's gonna go over everything later on when he returns for the night service. That should be fun.
That was a lot longer than I expected.
You look disappointed.
I am disappointed.
Okay.
Let's go through this later.
Even Gordon was like, I don't really want to argue with this woman right now. Let me just go and rest for a little bit and I'll come back. I need to be re-energized for this shit. On his way out the door, Gordon actually tips Miranda. So like this is her first tip since she started working here. And looking at Miranda's face as she stares at Amy when she receives this tip is horrifying.
That's for you.
Oh, thank
You
you.
only.
Thank you.
Look at her face! Look at her face! Wait, I need to pause it. She knows that she's about to get challenged to like a WWE Money in the Bank competition for that banknote. She looked genuinely terrified. She looked like she was in the Haunting of Hill House, not Kitchen Nightmares. Gordon then returns for the nighttime service and he's honest about Amy's like cooking skills, and obviously she doesn't take that well.
My pizza today was undercooked. You're a husband and wife. So why can't you go and tell your wife?
Because she's got his balls in a little container, and if he says anything that upsets her, She will put that in the ocean, Gordon.
The bun for the beef burger was soggy as anything. Who comes up with those ideas?
I did. Chef Ramsay is standing there riding my ass about white truffle oil and garlic aioli. Oh my God.
Why can't she just be like, oh yeah, actually, you're like a Michelin star chef. Maybe I should just take this on board and just kind of switch that up a little bit. He's trying to help. Also, you have asked this man to come to your restaurant to help you. He hasn't just like randomly went through the door one day and started like criticizing you. You applied for the show. You wanted his help. So why when he gives you it do you not take it? It makes no sense. You wanted this. Oh, I'm getting so into this.
But it was a dry bun or it was a soggy bun?
That was dry. Dry pate, dry.
It's good like that.
There's no point me saying anything to you because you just well, it's good like that.
It's almost like they wanted Gordon to come to kind of reaffirm to them in their mind that they're actually good cooks and it's the customer's fault. But then even if he did do that, they would be no further forward. Like their business wouldn't improve and they'd just be carrying on as they are. It's mental that in their own heads they believe they're on like Gordon's level in terms of cooking.
These are store-bought
I
crap
understand.
frozen ravioli.
They're not crap and they're delicious.
Wait, didn't she say that people that come to a restaurant, like they're only used to eating processed food, they don't like understand how good her food is, yet she's serving frozen ravioli? Make it make sense, love.
The owner is trying to pull the wool over your eyes by offering you frozen raviolis. Will you tell your wife or shall I?
One thing I really respect about Gordon Ramsay is he's a twat. And he knows he's a twat. He's just living and breathing in it. But he's a good twat. You know what I mean? He's not a nasty twat. He's a great twat. You know what I mean? Like just a really good twat. I've said the word twat so many times, I feel like it's not a word anymore. Twat. Twat. I'm going to sit with that thought tonight.
No more raviolis.
No more raviolis. People can only have cakes tonight.
She can't take criticism. Why is that?
Ask her that question.
Ask her.
I have the same problem.
Sorry, like less than, what, 5 hours ago, you guys were soulmates. You guys were meant to be together. You guys were like the happiest couple on earth. Now it looks like you're not even a couple. Now it looks like you hate each other. One thing I always wonder as well is, you know, when they apply for the show, like have they ever seen an episode of Kitchen Nightmares before? Surely they know that if Gordon has chosen their restaurant to come to, he's not going to be nice. Like surely, because that just wouldn't make like a great episode. Surely they know how he criticises the people that he helps. Would you not expect this? Also, can you imagine just eating at a restaurant, just like tucking in, and then Gordon Ramsay just enters with a camera crew? My lord. There's not enough Aveeno cream in the world that would stop me itching with stress after that. I'd genuinely be like, oh my god, what is in my body right now? I have just poisoned myself. It's so obvious at this point that Amy just can't take criticism, like not even the single slightest bit of criticism at all. There's this one part where the waitress just asks for reassurance that a meal is for a certain table, and Amy kicks off and sends her home.
4B. No, 5B. Are you sure? You don't need to question me, Katie. You can go home right now. I don't need an attitude from her. She comes and she said, it's because there's the 2 others.
Why is she like talking to these people as if they're her children and not like grown adults? You shouldn't even speak to your kids like this. Can you imagine having her as a mum? Can we all just take a minute's silence for the 3 fur babies? There we go. Thank you, God. Jesus. She didn't even say anything. A few of the orders had been going to wrong tables, so she just asked, are you sure it's this one? No malice. No sarcasm, and she's reacted like this. Another meal then gets sent back by a customer, so Gordon confronts Sammy about it, who's just completely ignored it.
That just comes back from the table.
They didn't like it.
What are we going to do about it?
It's mental how normalised it is for food to just get sent back at this restaurant. He's like, yeah, happens all the time. That's not a good thing. That doesn't happen at normal restaurants. Yeah, you're going to have a few, like, meals go back because they might be cold or, like, certain issues with them. That shouldn't be, like, a thing that's expected. Just quickly, guys, I want to stop this video to say, if you do enjoy this video, please do consider subscribing and joining the donuts. We are the best community on the internet. You'll have plenty of videos like this to binge watch when you're bored, so just press the subscribe button. Come on, join me.
The kitchen needs to know.
Okay, then I'm going to tell her.
Thank you.
I do see it from Sammy's point of view. Weirdly, in his head, he'd rather just not have the stress of Amy shouting at him. Like, if he sees a meal come back, he's like, it's not worth telling her. I get that, but also, this is why your business is failing, because you guys are just never improving and the communication is terrible. One of the craziest moments of this episode comes next, where Gordon basically tells the customer that the owner is stealing all of the tip they've just give for the waitress.
$10 tip.
Yeah.
That's nice. Do you think the girls deserve some tips tonight?
No, they get hourly.
What does that mean? They get hourly. Yeah, that's like what you also get as a waitress. You get your hourly rate. A lot of the time it's minimum wage, and then you also get your tips on top.
Sir, the tip that you left the young lady server, the owner takes the tips. Fed up. I'm getting sick and tired of your bullshit. Can answer my question.
I'm the gangster, not you. You're the worst gangster in the world. You take money from, like, waiting staff? Wow, what a gangster. Someone call Batman. What? You're not a gangster at all. What, because you slick your grey hair back? You steal from young girls. You're not a gangster at all, you're just pathetic, mate. Like, honestly, that is pathetic. Seeing this from his point of view, he's probably doing this because the restaurant is losing money, and obviously if you take tips, that's gonna contribute to help and, like, pay off some debts. But that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is improve the actual service to bring more customers in. Then everyone wins. Gordon clearly gets really angry at this point because you can probably, like, imagine he's worked at restaurants when he was starting where the owners were, like, awful. So he probably feels really strongly about, like, owners taking advantage of their staff.
I will fuck with you. Then I will fuck with you.
Oh my God.
Why did I think she was just, like, storming to, like, get one of the knives off the wall there? I was like, wow, this episode really is crazy. Bearing in mind, this is all happening in one night. This isn't over the course of loads of nights. It gets even crazier as Amy then fires one of the waiting staff on the spot for absolutely nothing.
Do not walk away from me. You don't work here anymore, okay? Don't start crying. I wasn't doing anything. I set a table. She said, are you sure? Are you my boss?
This is abuse. Like, this is actual abuse in the workplace. Imagine working at this place and you don't even receive tips and you have to put up with this. Bearing in mind, a lot of customers are probably mean to them as well because they're sending the food back, and obviously, like, waiting staff, they have to, like, be the front and centre of, like, complaints, and they receive a lot of shit for no reason, even though they're literally just the messengers. They don't make the food, they just bring it to you. Nobody deserves to be spoken to like this in the workplace. Like, she's held on to this one tiny comment that wasn't even that bad, and it's almost like she projects all of her anger of how our restaurant's performing on her waiting staff. Like, she blames everyone else but herself. If you fired over like 200 waiting staff, the problem's probably lying with you. The episode then cuts to the next day and Gordon arrives bright and early at the company. However, neither Sammy or Amy have turned up, so quite clearly they just don't want to speak with them at this point. So Gordon arranges to meet with 2 previous employees of this restaurant, and what they tell Gordon is just absolutely mental.
Sammy told me that he didn't like people who went to culinary school because he didn't think that we knew anything. And
see, that's so interesting because he probably doesn't want anyone employed in his business that is better than him at what he does. So anyone that's got any qualifications in this sector, he doesn't want them, which is mental because what improves your business is hiring people that are better than you. That's how you grow. There's going to be people that are better than you in a trade that you've never trained in. That's just a fact. And also, if you hire people that are better than you, then it takes stress off you. If you just get past your ego of not being the best at it, your business would be flying.
He made me wash his car one day.
What?
That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever done for him.
See, all these little things that we're now finding out, it paints much more of a clearer picture of how these 2 people actually are. Making, like, one of your staff clean your car, you're basically just treating them like slaves at that point. You're just making them do anything for you.
What happens when customers complain about their food?
they get told that they're wrong, don't know how to eat food.
You know what's the worst thing, though? Like, being part of the waiting staff and having to, like, relay that message back to the customer. This must have been such an awkward job to have. There was less war going on in Dunkirk than there is in Amy's Bacon Company. Amy and Sammy then agree to meet with Gordon to kind of hash out what happened on the previous night.
I told you about the burger, you refused to listen.
I did. I
Every
asked
time
you
I tell
what
you
was
something,
wrong with it. I kept
after
asking you
excuse.
what's.
He literally said that the burger was really dry and the bun was soggy. He told you exactly what was the matter, but you just don't listen to him.
The way you screamed at that young girl last night.
Would you let anybody come into your restaurant, in your kitchen, and speak to you the way that that kid spoke to me last night? Would you?
Have you ever seen Hell's Kitchen? Have you? This man literally put 2 buns on someone's head and went, "What are you?" And it just... Imagine if that was her in that sandwich. Would never see her again. Gordon, like, speaks to people so much worse in his restaurant than what you were spoken to that night. That would be a nice person in a Gordon Ramsay restaurant.
I think we're gonna let someone hold a gun to our head and we're gonna give them our ass and let them do anything they want.
What do you mean? Hold a gun to your head? She just asked if it was the right table. I need to, like, this woman is getting under my skin. I don't know what is worse for my skin, this woman or dairy food.
Customers were waiting for their food through your husband's mistake.
But okay, we're going to forget this today.
Do you know what really surprises me about Sammy? And I will say this, Sammy is better at receiving criticism than what Amy is. Like, Sammy actually seems like he's trying to take all of this in. Sammy is built £1 million business. Like, this guy was a millionaire. So clearly, he's got to have some business skills. How he doesn't, like, communicate with Amy and, like, after he's run a successful business himself, like, he's took none of those skills he's learnt and applied it to this restaurant.
This is a restaurant that is in crisis with a delusional owner that can't take criticism.
I'm kind of just trying to, like, draw back stuff that we've learnt now that I'm watching them kind of open up here. Obviously, Sammy invested, like, what was it, 1.5 million into Amy having a restaurant just because she wanted it, even though she'd had no previous experience running a restaurant or even working in one. When I'm trying to work out why she acts this way, because she wasn't, like, you know, just born this way. In the words of Lady Gaga, shut up, what am I saying? Like, she's been handed, like, a really great restaurant, and it's almost like she feels like the world owes her this working. Like, she hasn't really had to work for this restaurant. She's obviously just got, like, a huge investment. She's been really lucky. So it's almost like she just, because they've spent all this money, she, like, thinks the world, like, owes it to her, when in reality it doesn't. Gordon then confronts Amy about firing over 50 members of staff, and this is where we see that she just clearly lies on the spot.
You're saying that I have fired 50 staff since Jessica was here. Can you prove that?
She was wrong. 100 or even more than 100.
So Sammy is actually being honest here, like, thank Lord, it only took 35 minutes into this episode. And you see Amy, like, she kind of bows her head. She's like, oh shit, I've been caught out. Like, she just lied on the spot. That's actually quite horrifying, the way that she acts, because it's almost like she has, like, so many narcissistic traits. It's really interesting because I can't believe this woman is in charge of an actual business where people's health can be dictated by this. Like, she's serving food to people. It just makes everything that's happened before, like when she purposely, like, over-seasoned that food to kind of spite that man that complained. All of these are, like, evil traits.
A drink of water, excuse me.
And then straight away, when she's caught out, obviously you're seeing here, she's kind of, like, sprinting away. She's just trying to get out the situation because she realizes that she's kind of been found out. It's because her pride's been damaged, her ego's kind of been flattened a little bit, and she doesn't like it.
Jesus Christ, are you gonna attack me for wanting to fucking drink some water too? My God.
And then she puts it, like, back on Gordon and her husband, being like, what? Am I not allowed to drink water? Like, trying to make them the bad guys. It's like, she can never, ever be the bad person. I'm not saying Sammy's perfect, because he's not, but it must be really difficult for him to be with someone like this, because someone like this can really have, like, a negative impact on your mental health. She then gets a drink of water and she returns to the seat to talk some more, and I am so impressed with Gordon during this point, because a lot of the time, like, you see Gordon Ramsay screaming and shouting, but how he remains calm in this next segment is insane to me.
You coming in here disrupting the entire service.
Disrupting?
You did disrupt us last night.
This episode is so layered. Like, this is so much deeper than just this restaurant failing. Like, this woman, clearly, she needs help to, like, just talk about why she kind of kicks off, and why when anybody says anything remotely negative to her, does she feel like she's getting attacked. Like, she takes everything so personally. Like, the food is almost her. Like, which you can tell in, like, a positive way. She's really passionate about what she does, and that's, like, a really great thing. But that's also a downfall, because when somebody says they don't like something that she makes, she takes that as if, like, you hate her, which is not the same thing.
You go get Miranda and that little Katie and Jessica. Bring them here and let me see how they work.
Even the way she says, like, you just get that little Katie. It's like she talks about these people as if they're beneath her. For some unknown reason, she feels like she is, like, on a pedestal, and these people are just, like, her little slaves that, like, are, like, lucky to be working for her. Also, just, like, a quick side note. Look at the glass that she's drinking out of. It's got her 3 cats on. I wouldn't be surprised if that glass is made out of the cats.
You're attacking my business and my life. This is all I do is live. You're not telling me the problems. You are saying...
Again, I just always try and see it from all perspectives when I do these type of videos, and I can see how she would feel attacked, because the positives of Amy and Sammy is they're really passionate about their business. Like they say, they work every single day. They really care about this business. It's just a shame about their actual skills are really dog shit, but they really do care. So if somehow Gordon could unlock the mental barrier that they have, that they can't employ people because they're not as good as them, this would actually be a thriving business, because they genuinely care about making it a success. It's just they're doing everything to make it fail. Gordon then says that he's done with filming, like he doesn't want to proceed with this episode, and he gets the entire production crew to just take down all the microphones and all the cameras, which, bearing in mind, I've pretty much seen every single Kitchen Nightmares episode, I think. I have never seen this before. They always, no matter how bad it gets, they always finish the episode and try and leave it on a positive note. This is the only episode I've ever seen where this hasn't happened.
And the right thing for me is to get out of here. Good luck.
Yeah, of course that's what I wanted.
You don't need his help.
Maybe he knows that.
Like, what do you mean you don't need his help? Why did you apply for the show then? You applied for the show because you needed his help, but now he's telling you a few home truths. Now you don't need it anymore? Again, it just like promotes the fact that I said earlier in this video, they clearly for some reason thought Gordon would come and tell them how great they are and reaffirm that it's the customer's fault. In their own like ego-filled mind, they thought that was the reality.
They are incapable of listening.
Do you know what I really respect about like Kitchen Nightmares as a show? This episode has really reaffirmed to me that it's not set up, because sometimes I've thought, oh, is this just kind of playing up to the camera? Whereas this kind of shows the authenticity of the show, and I actually really rate it, and that's why this show's so successful. I would actually love to do this show, but like with YouTubers, but like smaller YouTubers, and if they're not like, you know, they're trying to grow their channels, I could like help them, but I feel like it just wouldn't be the, like, I don't know how you'd structure that, but I think that would be a really cool series if someone did that. And then after this, the episode ends. There's no like positive, like, oh, but the restaurant's still going really well. We helped them. They changed the menu. Like, even then, Gordon, in a lot of these episodes, like, pays out of his own back pocket, like 20 grand, 30 grand to do a full refurb of the restaurant, a full menu change. They got none of that just because they wouldn't listen. And this episode went absolutely viral. It was like the #1 trending story in the entirety of America. It actually did wonders for Kitchen Nightmares as a series. It put it in front of like the mainstream media. It went so large that the first episode of the season after, they did a full revisit of just this episode. And we're going to break that down as well. So this entire episode is basically just reacting to the media frenzy that happened after this episode dropped.
Blogging, commenting,
Basically calling them batshit crazy.
a media firestorm.
Amy's Baking Company.
No soup for you!
Do you know, if your episode had this much reaction, I don't know how you would still back that your food is good. But I feel like in her mind and in Sammy's mind, they'll take this as a positive. I honestly somehow feel like they're going to twist this in their own mind, that this is actually a good thing for their business. In this episode, they also give us some unaired footage that wasn't actually released in the first episode on Amy's Baking Company.
3 little boys, but they're trapped inside kitty cat's bodies. And Leo, he actually talks. Meow, 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 meow.
Oh my good lord. Do you know if they ever wanted to do like a female Joker standalone film? There you go. The actress is here. Take that, DC. My lord. Why is she trying to convince her that her cats can talk and sing? I have never seen something like this ever.
Shares any negative comments with Amy because she's completely incapable of taking criticism.
The fact that Gordon's actually did an entire episode to like take them down further shows how much this episode must have actually have hurt him inside, that he couldn't have helped them.
I've never had an issue before.
Because your husband doesn't tell you.
My husband, if there ever is a problem, immediately he'll bring it back and let Christine and I know.
In the entire episode, this man never did that once unless Gordon pressured him to. The amount of food that got sent back to that kitchen and he just ignored it because he just couldn't be asked for the drama that would follow it is crazy. He is scared of you. This man claims to be a gangster, yet he's scared of his wife and he steals from young girls. This man, again, is the worst gangster on planet Earth. One thing that is really interesting, and it shows how much Gordon must like hate these two, is he actually shows us their submission video. Like, you never get to see these videos in any of the episodes, and it's really interesting to watch this. So this is basically the video they're using to try and convince Gordon to help them.
The biggest problems with this restaurant would be my husband is too nervous in the front of the house.
Doesn't really have a customer service background in any way, shape, or form.
Amy needs to be removed from this situation.
Eee, the little bastard. She's never said that to his face. She's trying to get him off. She's like, Gordon, if you want to come and you know, do voluntary euthanasia, I'm not going to be opposed to it. Just letting you know. She never once mentioned that. Like, she's got to the point where she's blamed everyone possible, that she's even blaming the man that gave her 1.5 million to open the bloody place. Also, I don't think this man is nervous. Like, when he told that man to fuck off and then literally squared up to a customer, I didn't really get nervous vibes from that man. Quite the opposite, actually.
Horrible things were written about us that were not true. I retaliated and I told him what I thought about him. I told him that he was a loser and he was a moron. I have no problem standing up for myself.
But, like, that's a terrible way to react. Because then it just makes you look even worse. Because if you just don't respond to that, or you just say thank you for your feedback, that at least like they're taking it on board, etc. This just looks like you don't want to change at all. Also, I have to say, can you imagine the Kitchen Nightmares producers when they like saw this submission video? They must have been like, oh my god, I can't believe this golden ticket has landed at our door.
This is the first kitchen I've ever worked in where we're not really allowed to talk to each other.
Stop talking, everyone, stop, get out, no talking.
Like, have you ever seen a kitchen ever? It's constant talking. Like, communication in a kitchen, I imagine, is like up there with one of the most important things. And after this, in the revisit episode, Gordon actually sends a reporter to Amy's baking company to find out how they're getting on, because obviously Gordon would not be welcome if he tried to get there.
Hi, Anna Garcia from Kitchen Nightmares. Very nice to meet you. We want to catch up with you and Sammy. Do you have a few minutes for us?
No.
Sorry, that's the funniest thing she's ever said. Do you have a few minutes to talk to us? No.
And Gordon Ramsay tried to bury me alive. Who he wants, I will bury him first.
I mean, if you look behind them, the restaurant is clearly thriving. Like, you must have to book up pretty early to get a seat in here. Full to the brim.
Disgusting. So I posted, I took a screen, Sammy.
So obviously, like, straight away, this is just mental. Like, they haven't learned anything, clearly. They haven't changed as people. If anything, this has just made them more bitter and made them feel like the entire world is against them now, not just this little town.
He has no balls. He's jealous of my balls,
Yes,
motherfucker.
definitely.
This is what he is.
Somehow, I don't think Gordon Ramsay is jealous. Like, if Gordon Ramsay was offered the position to transfer lives with you, something tells me that he probably wouldn't take up on that opportunity. Amy then says one of the most mental things I've ever heard.
We were made to look like the most psychotic, lunatic people in the universe. And after watching Kitchen Nightmares, I see all the crazy, but I don't see any of the good.
Sorry, so you're saying, yeah, I see how I'm a lunatic and I'm the craziest person in the world, but they didn't show the bit where I made him a nice cake? It's like, yeah, but no one really cares about that bit. We can't really get past the crazy psychotic stuff, love. I don't care how your brownies taste when you're stealing money from your staff. Do you know what I mean?
If I came after you, you would probably stand up too. If I came after anybody else, you would defend yourself, wouldn't you?
I can understand she's very stressed here, and this is clearly like affecting her. This is like an actual human being. Like, yeah, she's mental, but she has feelings, etc. This is very clearly having a negative impact on her. Obviously, it's self-inflicted, and it's how she's acted, so she has to receive the criticism for that. If someone is criticising you, you're saying that you have to fight back. You don't. I'll get a few comments from people saying, oh, I don't really enjoy this video, etc. I don't like say, well, just fuck off then. Why don't you just kill your entire family? Because then it's just weird. Just ignore it. Or if you want to reply, just be like, okay, well, I'll try and make the next one a little bit better or improve it in certain areas. Because criticism is good. Like, how can you improve without getting some constructive criticism? Yeah, you're going to get some twats that just call you names, but then you just have to try and ignore that. You don't have to fight back. You literally don't. Because then you're not in control. Because clearly you're letting these people control how you feel. You have to take back control of how you feel and don't let negative opinions affect you. Otherwise, you're never going to progress. If you go around caring what everybody thinks, then you're never going to be able to be happy.
Now we have waitresses because we had to change our whole procedure. I took all of the negative things that Gordon Ramsay said and I tried to improve on it. That's why I had him come here.
That is not why you had him come here, love. Also, like, I love that you're trying to use this to paint you to be a good person. Oh yeah, like, we don't steal money from our waitresses anymore. So, look, I'm a good person. We shouldn't praise you for this. Like, you're doing the bare minimum here. This should just be the standard. The fact you're outwardly saying that you're now doing that, it's like you want the recognition for it. We're not going to give you any positive feedback for that.
We have a voice and to show our true product and what we really have to offer here.
God, you would think that she was like running for the presidency of the United States. Love, it's just a restaurant. You're just serving people food. There's no need to kick off like this. Obviously, she, like, is very upset here. And I kind of do feel bad for her. Like, you can imagine how many people are coming in now and, like, using it as a little bit of a circus. Like, where she said someone was putting, like, a rubber cockroach on her plate. You can tell she clearly really cares about this business. That would piss you off, and I do feel bad that people are doing that to her. But I just have to say, it is self-inflicted. Like, if you weren't acting this way, people wouldn't do that.
I think it takes a very special kind of person to be able to call someone and bully them over the phone or through the internet when you don't know who they are.
I love that she told her husband, Sammy, to stop talking when the camera crew came in, and then now she's, like, said an entire video essay to them.
That the waitresses didn't keep their tips. You changed your policy on the tips?
I did change, I give him tips.
Okay, so that's interesting. So we never got that information in the original episode, and we just have to take his word for it that he pays them a higher hourly rate. However, I just feel like they would prefer the tips because it's just a better working environment in my opinion. Also, why can't you give them the tips as well? Because the tips should never be yours. Like, that should never be your money. Like, if you want to give them a higher hourly rate, that's great. That's, like, a really nice thing to do. But don't take the tips and sacrifice for that. The way that he's, like, flipped that him taking the tips is a positive thing for the waiting staff is actually kind of impressive.
I asked him, I said, would you let anybody come into your kitchen and give you the kind of attitude that Katie gave me? He said, yeah. That to me shows me that he's a pansy.
Why does that show that you would like that? I can't listen to these two anymore. I'm sorry, guys. They clearly have not improved. In fact, they've went backwards. They should have just never have asked for Gordon's help in the first place because this has just brought their company down to the bitter end. Well, at least they're both happy. They're not, are they? They're really not. Now, obviously, this episode aired quite a while back, so I wanted to see, like, if there's a 2024 update of, like, how they're getting on. Is the restaurant still open? And apparently the restaurant is actually closed. They closed it in 2016, surprisingly, because there were so many people in when they went for the revisit episode. I'm so surprised they decided to shut that down. It was such a thriving business. However, Amy actually still has the company, Amy's Baking Company, on Instagram, and she just kind of does cakes. The cakes actually look really nice, and the one thing that Gordon Ramsay did was compliment her cakes. She was actually good at that. For some reason, she was just trying to do food as well, which she just doesn't have a talent in. Like, these actually look nice. Like, if I didn't know this person and I came across this page, I'd be like, oh, they're pretty cool. And she has 30,000 followers. I don't know why she's kept the same name. If this was me, I would just not tie my personal image to my new company. Unfortunately, Amy actually filed for divorce from Sammy in 2022, which again is so surprising because I thought they were soulmates. There's a quote from Sammy when he's mentioning Amy. He says that she wants to be a fake model like her pastries. It's not very nice, is it? Comparing her to a pastry. You liked the pastries when you were with her. Now you're not with her. You don't want them, do you? Wow. Men. It said here that the reason that they had to shut the restaurant was because an issue with their landlord. Apparently, like, he was doing, like, building works and it led to a sewer-like odour seeping into their restaurant. I don't think that was the reason why you shut, guys, if I'm honest. Again, still to the bitter end, she's blaming other people. You've got to give her respect for her consistency. It's interesting because I've been doing loads of research into, like, the company to see just, like, how they were performing today before I knew that they closed. And before they closed, they actually had merch. Like, I'm the gangster. I survived Amy's Baking Company. Love, this is a restaurant. This is not a circus. This is not like a theme park. This is not like a positive thing. I wonder if, like, they just went down the route of the meme. Like, they just lived and breathed the meme. And they just treated it a little bit like a museum. Because that's all they could really do at this point. It just seems like Amy's trying to, like, just squeeze anything out of this that she can. Like, in her Instagram bio, in the link, there's, like, a Amy's Amazon finds where basically she's picked things off Amazon where if people buy them, she gets, like, a commission for it. But it's just random shit. Like, there's bathroom design ideas, cake decorating supplies, and then, like, a pair of shoes and some leggings. Like, look how many things are linked here. She's basically got the entirety of Amazon. Divorce lawyers are a lot of money, guys, right? She's just trying to kind of rack the money up any way that she can. But yeah, I just wanted to do a deep dive into this episode because I've seen so many people make videos on it and I've never seen it, and I'm so glad that I've now covered this. Do you want me to react to the new season of Kitchen Nightmares that's just aired in the UK? Let me know. 3,000 likes on this video and we'll do that. If you want to see me react to another TV show that is on par with this one for craziness, click this video right here or watch a brand new reacts video from me right here.